A former White House economist is warning of the burden U.S. debt will have on Gen Z and blames mistakes made by the Treasury Department. In an opinion piece for Project Syndicate, Todd Buchholz and former Labor Department employee James Carter write, quote, rather than issuing 50 or 100-year bonds when interest rates were at rock bottom, the U.S. Treasury dismissed this option and simply continued to borrow on a short-term basis. Now that U.S. interest payments are ballooning, the scale of this blunder has become apparent. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is here in Studio 57 to help us understand this. Before we even start down this path, Jill, explain what I just read to the audience. Because they're going, what? Balloon? Like, huh? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we borrow money every year to make up the difference between what we are committed to spend and what we take in. Just think about that, right? So people pay their taxes. That's money that goes into the Treasury. But we have other obligations, right? We got to pay Social Security. We got to pay for Medicare. We got to pay for Medicaid. We got to pay for military. We have obligations that we have made. And we can't just be like, sorry, we're not going to make that obligation whole. So every year we borrow money. That annual deficit adds up to a national debt level. And so you see, we used to have a debt clock here in New York. I don't even know if it still exists, but it's trillions and trillions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
$34 trillion. It's a massive number. By the way, good thing to remember, trillion, T, 12 zeros. That's how you remember it. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
It's a big number. And the problem isn't so much the absolute amount of the money that we have borrowed, but it is about what portion that we're paying back, the interest payments, and what that's eating up in and of itself. So what we have seen is over the last 20 years that the amount of money that we're paying in interest is ballooning. That's the ballooning part, because the absolute number doesn't really matter. We're never going to zero. So think about this. Would you rather pay interest on a mortgage at 7% or 3%?
A 3.
Thank you. Very good. So the point of this whole article is to say, hey, when interest rates were really low back in 2020 and 2021, where everyone was locking in those 3% mortgage rates, why didn't the U.S. government say to the world, hey, we want to borrow money from you for a longer period of time? The U.S. borrows money daily, weekly, monthly, annually, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. So the idea was, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could borrow money for 50 years or 100 years while interest rates were really low? This was first, it's been looked at by various Treasury secretaries, but Steve Mnuchin looked at it in the spring of 2020. When in the middle of COVID, interest rates plunged, hey, let's borrow a bunch of money for a longer period of time. He decided against it. Janet Yellen looked at it also in 2021. Same thing. So the question is, why didn't we go longer to lock in those low rates?
And so Gen Z is being affected how?
So I think the way that you have to consider this is that because we have long-term debt obligations, because we have these programs that need to be financed, the way that you would actually raise the money to do that would be to what? Raise taxes, right? So you would either do one of two things: cut the programs, which I don't think is going to happen, or raise taxes. So there have been a lot of arguments that in order to pay for all these boomers who are retiring, where we've got these peak boomers, people turning 65, there's 4 million a year now till 2030, to pay for all of that, that we are essentially burdening the younger generation. And the other part of the burden comes in the form of higher interest rates overall. And that really does cause a problem. If you're young and you're borrowing and you're paying back your student loan, many people borrowed money from the government for student loans, and it was 3%. Now it's 7%, 6 or 7%. They can't buy houses as easily for lots of different dynamics. So when we talk about the burden of these debt levels, we're really talking about, we're asking this younger generation to foot the bill.
And then, so is there a way to course correct so the burden is not so heavy for Gen Z?
Well, I think the course correction is going to be what I believe will occur is that taxes will go up for everybody. I'm sorry that that's a bummer. Like, I'm obviously not running for office.
So, phew.
But I think the problem is that the structure of our population is such that we're going to have to see higher taxes in the future to pay for these things. I think that we can't course correct now. Maybe we go back when interest rates fall again at some point in the future. Maybe we do that. But it's kind of like if you missed your opportunity to refi, you don't have it again. And I do think there's been a pushback because some people believe that issuing a 50 or 100-year bond in 2020 or 2021, glad you're an old finance guy, the question is, in 2020 or 2021, would I actually take just a 2% interest rate for 50 years?
Right.
That's a lot
That's a
to
lot,
ask. So
yeah.
the real question was, even if you could do it at that time, would anyone buy those bonds?
Right.
Jill, it's really fascinating.
Yeah,
Thank
really
you.
Oh, I'm glad I made it fascinating.
Yeah, you did, you
National
did.
debt is fascinating.
But crippling also.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry about that part.
Thanks, Jill.
Yeah.